very warm welcome back to another video. In this one, I'm going to be diving into music, sound, and audiobooks that I've listened to in 2025. So let's dive right in. Kicking off with January 2025. I'm very excited to talk about this because something very near and dear to my heart is Middle Earth, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and I'd never made the effort to read any of the books. Full stop. And my sister Kimberly, thank you Kimberly, bought me a few Christmases ago now. She bought me The Hobbit. Here we go, the book that's been sitting over there in previous videos, and I've been building up throughout 2024, thinking, okay, I've got to do it. End of 2024 must have been maybe it was Christmas 23. She got it for me then, and then I'd been using all of 2024 to think about it, and then I finally did it. I read the book. Now, the asterisk here being that I read the book, I was reading the words as you go along, but I was having the audiobook read to me. So the audiobook became available so I subscribed to Amazon Music Unlimited, and I believe it's now a fixture that you can read one audiobook per month, last time I checked. So I managed to get The Hobbit through that. It's very exciting. Very, very exciting because, again, I love this universe so much ever since I saw the Lord of the Rings films when I was a kid. And yeah, this was such a treat to have it narrated by Andy Serkis as well. It's just smiling throughout the whole thing, and just such a trip. That was so wonderful to be able to finally do that. So yeah, I haven't yet bought or obtained the books Fellowship 2000, Return of the King, but it is my hope to do that. I don't know if it'll be this year or in the future, but I would like to make the time, of course, to have, if he would be so kind as to spare his time, Andy Serkis, to read me the other three books, because I've always had a little bit of a barrier with just picking up books and reading them. I do an awful lot of reading online. I'm either on YouTube or Reddit, and I'm scrolling Reddit and I'm reading threads and comment threads and all of this. And I'll be on websites reading articles, but I've never actually, not really since I was a kid, sat down with books and just read books. So to have the audiobook outlet to kind of guide me through it, and I can see here it was a 10.5 hour commitment, which I managed to get through over a couple of weeks, doing maybe a chapter or two a night. So yeah, great way for me personally to get back into novel reading, even if we put an asterisk on it, because then we say, well, Lewis, you didn't read the book, you had it read to you. To me, I've still read the book, and I'm very, very grateful to have been able to get that feeling that I've actually read The Hobbit, because it's a very important story to me. So yeah, that was start of the year. Then segueing on from The Hobbit, so this will cover music as well. So The Weeknd's new album came out in the end of January, I believe, and I had a bit of an obsessive period with it. I was just listening to it on repeat. I've had appreciations of The Weeknd. I think it goes back to when he first collaborated with Daft Punk around that time, because Daft Punk, I'm a big fan of Daft Punk. So I think once he collaborated with Daft Punk, I was kind of like, okay, well then I'm Team Weeknd. If Daft Punk are willing to collab with him, he's like, Daft Punk have approved The Weeknd, so okay, he's on my good list. And then ever since then, I just started to get into him a lot more. And I'll admit I've not seen the film. I think it's had an accompanying film. I heard some not so great things about it, so I didn't go and watch that film. But yeah, this album, when it came out in January, I remember just binging it throughout February. Like I was watching it, listening to it an awful lot. So yeah, thumbs up for The Weeknd's album Hurry Up Tomorrow in January as well. Moving swiftly on, we're going to pivot now. We're going to talk about Alien Worlds, so another soundscape in the same vein of the channel I spoke about in my first video, the sort of soundscape channel. I've got another soundscape channel here that really took over my life at the start of 25. Alien Worlds. So Alien Worlds, in October 24, they uploaded a video soundscape called The Matrix, which we'll talk about in the movie video. The Matrix, Neo's apartment, V2, 10 hours, dissolved girl, ambient soundscape. And honestly, I discovered this in the spring when I was trying to really get myself going, early year motivations. I was trying to like lock myself in and just find something I could use to help me focus while I was working on my CV and job applications and all these things that were just like felt like a bit of a grind and a bit tedious. And I stumbled onto this soundscape and I was like, oh my goodness, this is like I could just listen to this forever, and I just stay completely focused. So very grateful to the channel Alien Worlds, that is at Alien Worlds Ambient, who has a channel dedicated to all sorts of media and pop culture soundscapes that they have created, namely The Matrix being the one that I was totally obsessed with once I did a rewatch of The Matrix 4 films, which again I will go into more in the movie video, but sound and audio wise, this 10-hour soundscape, like I cannot speak to how much this helped me when I needed something to help me focus when I was trying to do what was relatively like tedious work, job searching, CV writing, all the kind of stuff I needed to do at the time, that I just needed something to listen to help me get me through it. Like that was a huge help. So big thanks to Alien Worlds. Okay, moving on. Next on my list here is the Nine Inch Nails album. So Nine Inch Nails of Quake original album soundtrack fame from 1996. That's how I learned of them. I must admit I haven't really followed their career, but then I heard they were doing the new album and soundtrack for Tron Ares, which at the time of getting excited for the film was mostly led through like my excitement over this album. And yeah, I'd not seen the prior Tron films, but for some reason on YouTube I was completely locked into this soundscape and the playlist on their YouTube channel with the visualizers, and it was like became like a background for me, the Nine Inch Nails like visualizer. I'm as live as you need me to. But I was just obsessed. I was obsessed with this album leading up to the film. Now, I'm not going to talk about the film. Maybe I'll share a few thoughts on that when I do the movie videos. But for the soundtrack leading up to the film, it got me really excited to go and see the film, to listen to the audio in IMAX, which is what I ended up doing. So, yes, big thumbs up for me for the Nine Inch Nails album for Tron Ares. Okay, next on my list is the Pharrell Williams EP / mini album, Piece by Piece, for the Piece by Piece Lego Movie, which is one of my favourite films I've seen over the last few years. It's only 5 new tracks that came out, technically 4, and then like an intro track. But those 4 tracks, the 4 tracks that he released, I mean, Obsessed does not even cover it. Like, it was on loop when I needed it for like my getting ready for work playlist, my getting up in the morning playlist, my going for a bath playlist. Like, it was my playlist, and I was just like, let me just play his music over and over and over again. I think I rekindled my appreciation for Pharrell again when he worked with Daft Punk. So Daft Punk has led me to The Weeknd, it's led me to Pharrell Williams. Yeah, I was a big fan of the film, which I'll talk about more in the film video, but I'm a big fan of this soundtrack, so big thumbs up from me for this soundtrack as well. Okay, moving down next on my list, and this is something that's actually carrying forward right up until present day, 5th of January 2026, time of recording. So last year I created a Grand Theft Auto Vice City Flash FM combo playlist of all of the songs from Flash FM in Vice City and Vice City Stories. I combined it into one playlist, and it has literally been for like several weeks now my get me up in the morning playlist, and when I'm getting ready for work playlist, when I just need a little bit of get up and go to get ready for something, I just put this on, and I treat it in my head as like a radio station. I just think, well, if I'm playing that, I'm just listening to Flash FM. I mean, that's what I'm doing. And I love basically every song on the playlist. It's just, yeah, again, tying back into what I mentioned in the other video with Stranger Things, like, I've always had this kind of fondness for 80s music ever since I was first exposed to it from when I was young. Probably Vice City being one of those first major exposures to it, and Flash FM. So it's all kind of come full circle. I'm really keen to try and get back to replaying the game this year, so I've just kind of ended up obsessing over all of the music that was on Flash FM. So thumbs up for Flash FM and all the music it has brought into my life. Right, and then last on my list, which might just take a little bit longer to get through here, and it kind of ties it all together. So I've got my I've got my Amazon Music summary, which I skimmed over and screenshotted. So I've got all my screenshots up here, and we're just going to skim through, see what Amazon is telling me I was listening to in 2025. So it covers from, you usually get it around the 1st of December, right? So I think it covers everything from 1st of Jan up till the end of November. So it's like an 11-month year in review. So we're just going to go through what it was telling me I was listening to. So apparently, I listened to 8,326 minutes on Amazon Music last year. My top genres were dance and electronic, pop, R&B, dubstep, and vocal jazz. My top songs. Here we go. This is what I'm saying. Pharrell Williams. Number 5, Lego Odyssey. Number 4, For Real. Number 3 is The Veldt by Deadmau5. Wow. The 8-minute edit. I just had a period again where I was looping that. I was just like that. I was locked in with some Deadmau5. And then I had a Sophie Ellis Bextor period, apparently. Crying at the Discotheque. I had that looping for a while. And then the number 1 song, and there was a reason for this, it's Oliver Cheatham, Get Down Saturday Night. So I watched Ex Machina again as a rewatch. And yeah, there's a scene in there, if you've seen it, with the dancing. And yeah, I came out of that film just like, oh my god, this track is so good. So I just looped that, and apparently I played this track 31 times last year. So there we go. I'm a top 5% listener on that track. I listened to 236 artists last year. 236, that's pretty cool. My top artists listened to overall. Number 5, 9 Inch Nails for the Tron album. Deadmau5 is number 4. I had a period where I was going back through all of his stuff. I was just looping loads of his stuff. I created a playlist around that. Number 3, this is an artist that I've really loved for like as long as I can remember. So it's Burial. And there was a huge moment last year which like completely blew my mind in a job I was in, where for the first time ever in my life I was in a room with someone that I was working with, and they were controlling the music, and they played Burial music. The artist, by the way, is called Burial. His name is William Bevan, and I never met anyone that knows Burial, never in my whole life, and it's secretly probably my most listened to artist of all time. I've just had periods of my life where I just wanted to listen to his albums on repeat, like on loop in the evenings, sort of like touching on like the soundscape stuff I like doing. And honestly, like the feeling I had, I've never felt more heard or seen musically than I did when I inadvertently met someone that also really loves Burial. So that was a really cool moment. And then number 2 was The Weeknd. So my Weeknd album listening has trumped Burial last year. Like that's how much I was looping The Weeknd probably throughout February. And then number 1, number 1 seems to be The Hobbit because of that 10-hour thing. Right, so I think it's ranked my top artists as The Hobbit potentially there. That's how I'm interpreting that because of the 10 hours listen time. Okay, so here we go. Here's Lewis Fest 2025. Day 1 is The Weeknd, supported by Pharrell Williams, Michael Jackson, Sophie Ellis Bextor, Oliver Cheatham, Daryl Hall and John Oates, Joe Jackson, The Buggles, Laura Branigan, Lady Gaga. So the Joe Jackson, Laura Branigan, things like that are coming in from the Vice City playlist. Day 2, headlined by Burial. Amazon knows how to design my set. Fair play to them. Supported by Deadmau5, Odessa. Oh, I love Odessa. Odessa. I've seen them live. Probably the best live experience I've ever had in my life was Odessa. It was a trip where I was completely sober and conscious, but it was completely like an out of body experience that I cannot even begin to describe. Maybe I'll have a video on me waxing about Odessa one day. So Deadmau5, Odessa, Daft Punk, Cascade, Jungle, my beloved Jungle, who I've seen live 2 times, Johann Scooge, Alan Walker, Rui de Silva, Room 5, Justice, Sophie Tucker, Fragma, Giorgio Moroder, Nile Rodgers. And then on day 3, led by Howard Shaw, because I had a period again after the Lord of the Rings rewatch where I was listening to all of the Lord of the Rings music on repeat soundtrack, so he's headlining day 3, supported by Michael Andrews, Jukka Aritamakai, Ian Livingstone, Woody Jackson, Jesper Kidd, The Dwarf Coast, and Geek Music. So there we go, top artists. We've got Scott Bradley's Postmodern Jukebox, another thing that I binged tons last year. Number 2 is The Weeknd, number 3 is Burial. As we said, The Weeknd outdoing even Burial, my beloved, most listened to Burial. And Postmodern Jukebox, I had a phase throughout last year where I was just looping Postmodern Jukebox. Really, really rate all of their stuff. Absolutely adore them. So, yeah, it's cool to go through this. I'm grateful that, you know, with all the technological tracking, that, hey, you know what, if you're going to track the music I listen to and tell me what I'm listening to, that's actually I find that quite useful. So thank you. There we go, Postmodern Jukebox, number 1 with 1,490 minutes listened to last year. There we go. That's it. That's 2025 wrapped for me with music. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you or have you listening in one of the future episodes. Until then, farewell.